Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday for this January 30th of 2019. I am your health and wellness coach, Carrie Donahue, and just a reminder that I am not in any way certified to instruct you on fitness or to be your therapist or anything. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm simply here to coach you through the process, to show you what I've done to achieve my results, to help guide you through the process of finding the best route for you to achieve your results. So today I'm actually coming to you with some very practical, they're all practical. All of this is practical, right? But I know in December and the beginning of January, I focus more on some of those mental blocks that derail us, and working through those and making sure that you stay on track, because that's a really hard thing to do. I mean, and certainly in throughout your journey, you will probably have, dips and valleys where you kind of fall off a little bit. It'll always continue to get easier to hop back on, as long as you stay committed to your goals. So don't fear falling off the wagon. Just do your best to get out of that rut as quickly as possible that time, so that you can get back to your goals. But now I want to talk to you guys about nutrition, because I've had a lot of new people joining me, and probably one of the biggest obstacles is to achieving what you want to achieve is nutrition. Because if I have a lot of busy moms that join me, and so if you're a busy mom, you'll kind of understand this. Even if you're not a busy mom, you might probably have the same struggles. If you have a spouse or you live with a boyfriend or whatever it is, that you literally just can't get everything crap out of your house. Okay, I have a 4.5-year-old son, and so we have tons of crap in our house. I'd like to say that with all of my nutritional wisdom, and the way that I live my own personal life, that I should be, more just good at feeding him properly. But, he's 4.5 and he's the picky eater that I was. And so I sort of take the approach of, as long as he's eating decent, as long as he's growing, I try to buy the best options. But if he wants, Cheetos, then I'm going to buy him Cheetos, and I'm just going to try and keep his consumption of those Cheetos to a minimum. But I know from experience that if it didn't kill me, then it probably won't kill him either. And I will tackle the nutrition piece with him as he gets older. So understandably, there's crap in my house. There's crap in your house. The problem isn't always necessarily of, do you know what to eat, and do you know how to cook good meals for yourself? But sometimes it's just, you come home and that snack that's in your cupboard is easy to grab, easier to grab than something healthy that you think you should be eating, because you think healthy always means I've got to prepare it beforehand, and it's so difficult. So I want to debunk some of those myths. So a lot of you know that I've also been following Plant Paradox. This is not what I'm going to instruct on today, because I know that this is something that I've worked up to, and then I read the book and I believe in it so much. So it's just one of those things that I am doing. But I certainly achieved the majority of my results just by cleaning up my diet and doing, clean eating, which is certainly the best way to start, if you ask me. Because it's simple, it's easy, you're not cutting out any food groups, you're not depriving yourself of anything, you're just eating whole natural foods, less processed foods, and you are getting the right amounts. Okay, so let's talk real quickly about macronutrients. Your macronutrients are your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats. Okay, so when I first started learning about this was before becoming a coach. I used one of those apps called Lose It, where you plug in your foods and then it comes up with, your stats for the day, basically. And it would say, you should have about 40% protein, 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, 30% fats. And by carbs, it's not, so almost all foods have carbs in them. We're not talking about 40% of your food for the day should be bread. That's not what we're saying at all. There's carbohydrates in vegetables, there's carbohydrates in fruits, there's carbohydrates in everything. So it was getting that balance of macronutrients from the clean foods that I was eating, right? And it would tell me that. And that's all fine and dandy. And once I got into a routine, because I'm a creature of habit and I would eat the same things over and over and over again, it was super easy to track that way. Not everybody's like that. And so that's not necessarily always the easiest way to track. You can, if you want to, if you're watching this from my YouTube channel and you haven't joined my group, then you can absolutely do that. But real quick, I want to talk about the way that this works with our container system, because for those of you who are going to be watching this first, you're in my group. So you have access to the program materials for your workouts, and your program materials are going to have a worksheet for you to figure out, first of all, how many calories you should be eating. And then it's going, by doing that, then you are going to fall into one of like 7 or 8 different categories, whether you're meal plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever. So this is what I did with my stuff when I did 80-Day Obsession a year ago. I literally printed everything off, and the first like quarter of it is just the program materials, and then the last 3/4 of it is actually the recipe book from the Fixate cooking show, because all of the Fixate recipes are made using the containers, and they show you what containers were used so that you know how to plug it into your day. So anyways, you figure that out, and then it tells you how many of each container. These are the containers, by the way. So this would be veggies, this is fruits, this is your meats or protein, this is your starchy carbs, so like your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, whole grain breads and things like that. These are your seeds and dressings, and these are your healthy fats. And then a teaspoon is not included, but a teaspoon would be for oils and nut butters. But anyways, your food lists, then they give you a whole food list of, these are the veggies that fall under the green container, the fruits, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the healthy fats, the seeds and dressings, and so on and so forth. So it gives you a really good list of clean food, okay? That's why I love this, okay? After years of figuring it all out on my own and kind of I did a halfway decent job, right? I joined a company that literally makes it probably the easiest that it could possibly be. Okay, they give you the containers, they give you the list of foods, and then they give you recipes, and all of that's included in your BOD subscription. I mean, the value is immense. So this is something that they used to include in, like, when you would purchase a challenge pack or whatever, they would include these containers in it. These containers literally, I found them at Walmart. Not these ones specifically, but I was walking down the aisles at Walmart and I found our food containers, and I'm like, oh, they sell them at Walmart now. Not us, but there's other companies out there that make our food containers. So you literally can go to Walmart and buy the food containers. But the whole point of this is that when you get your calculation of what bracket you fall into, it's going to give you the number of each container that you should be eating a day. So when I was doing 80-Day Obsession, I was supposed to eat 6 servings of veggies a day and 6 servings of protein a day. That's going to be where the majority of your food comes from, is veggies and proteins. And then I was supposed to have 4 fruits a day and 4 starchy carbs a day. So oats, whole grain breads, like I said, quinoa, that sort of thing. And then you get a handful of healthy fats. You usually get 1 or 2 of the seeds and dressings in a day, and then you get a couple of teaspoons or whatever it is that your plan says that you should have. This is how this makes it so nice, okay? You can plan out your meals for the day, what you're going to eat for breakfast. Usually what you eat for breakfast should probably have 1 or 2 of these, because that's going to give you the energy to fuel your morning, along with maybe a protein. And then as you move on, then it should transition to having more and more of your veggies, so that by the end of the day, you're having mostly veggies, and not, because you don't need the energy, you're getting ready to go to sleep, right? But by tracking just, oh, I've had a couple of these today, I have, 2 left or whatever, you get home, and when you start to think in terms of your containers, you get home, and if the first thing you tell yourself is, I should check how many containers I have left of whatever it is, then you'll see, like, maybe you have, a protein, but you've used all but one of your carbs, and you're thinking, for dinner, I had planned that I was going to have a carb, and, but I do have a fruit left. So instead of grabbing that easy thing, like your kid's potato chips, which would easily be a carb, but it would be a very, very bad carb, and you should not eat it because it's definitely not on the list. You would be more likely to think, oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't grab that thing that I know I shouldn't have, but a fruit sounds really nice right now, and I can pair it with, the teaspoon nut butter that I'm allowed to have, or whatever it is. So it's good when you start to think in terms of those containers. It'll make it more easy to disregard the junk in your house and go for the healthy stuff, because you're following something that tells you, lays out exactly what you should have. And this is going to give you without having to like literally plug in every time you do a recipe, and you have to plug in every single ingredient for that recipe to be able to figure out what you ate in that app. Well, this is easy. You just figure out what containers you filled to make that recipe, and you calculate it that way. It's a lot easier to do. And it's a lot easier to follow. Now, for those of you wondering, you fill this up so that it's not mounding over, so that you'd easily be able to fit the lid back on. That's another thing too, is people say, well, a serving of veggies is 1 cup. Well, what does that look like? Well, that actually looks like this. A serving of meat is supposed to be like the palm of your hand or whatever. Well, what does that look like? Well, you just fill one of these, and you got it. So it makes it a lot easier to do when you get these containers. Now, do you have to be, I actually pulled these out of my closet or out of my cabinet. So the question is, do you have to have these out for the rest of your life filling these up? No, as you get practiced in this will become something that's more intuitive. So here's the good news. I have literally gone through like thing after thing after thing after thing. Tracking on the app, which, like I said, was kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, luckily I ate the same things over and over again, so just kind of pulled things back up again. But I went through actually filling things up, to being able to sort of visualize, once you dump it out on your plate or whatever, especially if it's a simple, easy dinner where you're like, I'm going to have some chicken, cut it up a little bit so you can put it in here, and I'm going to have 2 servings of veggies, roasted veggies, then you can literally do all the meal prep, cut it up and stick it in your containers, and then dump it out on your plate. Then you will have that visual reference. The more you do that, the more skilled you will be at just visually being able to see, like, oh, okay, that's about like you can go to a restaurant. You don't have to take these with you, because you will be able to look at that salmon or that steak or whatever that's on your plate and be like, it looks like about a red, maybe a little more. Maybe I'll cut off the end of this, and then it'll be more like the size that I'm supposed to have for my red, or whatever it is. So it can become very intuitive for you. Just like it started to become very intuitive for me right before we came out with the 2B Mindset program, which talks about how you should have what I said, more of your carbs in the morning, and with your proteins, and then transition to start having more of your veggies at lunch, and then have mostly veggies left over at dinner time. So it becomes more intuitive that way. You start to recognize sort of how it works with your body, what foods work for you, what foods don't work for you, because you might have food sensitivity. So all of those things become more intuitive for you. And then at this point, I'm following something that I literally don't track at all. I just sort of feel with my body what works best for me. And to be honest, it includes actually a lot more oils than this program allows for. But because you're not cutting out any food groups, you're not cutting out fruits, you're not cutting out your whole grains, your starchy carbs and things like that, you don't need as many oils. You know, you're getting your calories from that instead. So disregard what I'm doing, because clean eating works. I've done it for years and it works. So anyways, that is what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today. I wanted to talk to you guys about your nutrition. So if you don't know where it is, if you go into BOD, and you click on your, you know, whatever program it is that you're doing. So like right now I'm doing Transform 20, okay? And then at the top of that page, there's usually a banner picture. And then under that, there's 3 spots. There's your workouts. So that's the one that just automatically pops up, is your workouts are gonna pop up and they're gonna populate underneath that. But there's another tab, and I don't know if it's actually, I haven't really looked. I haven't really paid it very much attention, but there might be like a little tab thing around it, or it might just be a button that you can press that says program materials. And so when you click on that, it's going to take you, it's going to populate other stuff underneath it, which is going to include your nutrition guide. It's going to include the different meal plans, as far as plan A, plan B, based on your calorie intake that you've calculated with your nutrition guide. And it's gonna have all of those things. And then for the recipe book and the Fixate show, that's actually, so back on the main page, before you clicked on your program that you're doing, before you clicked on 21 Day Fix or Transform 20 or T25 or whatever it is, if you scroll through all of those programs, you'll find one that's called Fixate, and it's a cooking show. And under, like when you click on Fixate, obviously, again, just like with workouts, it populates with all of the actual shows first, but then there's another tab where you can click on like program materials that's going to give you all of the actual recipes in the book, so that you can experiment with them, print them out if you want to, whatever, compile your own book. And they're coming out with new stuff all the time. So definitely check into that. If you don't have containers, like I said, go check out Walmart, or Amazon, or wherever else that you can find the containers, and get you some containers and start doing that, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you to see results. It's going to make it a lot quicker for you to see the results that you're looking for if you have a plan. And I will tell you, you can meal prep everything on Sunday, as far as, you know, you can literally like plan out all of your meals on a Sunday and put them all in their little individual containers, so you can literally pop them out of the fridge and do it that way if you want. I sucked at that. I mean, I did it for ADD Obsession, and then I stopped doing it as soon as I was done, because it kind of got tedious for me. I'm more of a, you know, give me a whole package of chicken breasts, let me broil it all, and then stick some in the freezer and stick some in the fridge. And then I have that easy, you know, I have my protein. I can grab a protein. Let me roast a bunch of veggies, okay, so that I have 3 days worth of veggies, and just stick it in one big container in the fridge, and then I'll just scoop it out throughout, you know, and then when I get done with that bunch of veggies, then I go to the store and I buy some new ones and I cook some new ones. So I'm not cooking like throughout the week, but I'm not meal prepping everything on Sunday. I sort of have that happy balance of crazy mom life of, you know, I can spend, you know, an hour cooking on Monday to get all of my veggies cooked, and that's fine. And then I can spend another hour on Thursday night cooking, to make up for that. But so those are my tips. Those are my initial tips anyway. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment box below, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But hopefully this helps you guys, because I know nutrition is a big deal. I know we can get derailed really easy, so you just need to have an easy system in place that you can follow, that you know is foolproof, that's going to get you the results that you want and help your body feel its best. So I hope you enjoyed. And like I said, you know, feel free to ask me anything, and I will always be happy to help. And I will see you guys next week. Have an awesome Wednesday. Bye.